We're rolling. All right, all 72 of you. Yeah, you made it out today. Yeah. Okay. So, she asked a really good question this morning. What's the difference between branding and marketing? So we're going to kind of unpack that today. But what is the main topic? Perception equals profit. So when you guys think of perception, what do you guys think of?
Assumptions.
Good. Yeah.
Impressions that you leave on people.
Yeah, definitely. So they kind of come instantly, right? But do you think there's a such thing as it being influenced? Can your perception be influenced? Yeah, right. So we're going to talk about that. How to influence the perception of your audience or your target market so that it could start converting into profit. And in life, it's transactional as well. We give and we receive all the time, right? So when we leave a good impression, it usually, we just talked about this, can lead into opportunities, into new relationships, right? So perception is very fundamental to branding because when you start priming it, you really start to see how people react differently towards you as a person and towards your brand. So a little bit about me. You guys already know about me. I'll just reiterate it for the YouTube audience. But I do have a master's in visual culture. Visual culture is basically anything that informs culture out in society, art, architecture, film. So we consistently take these pieces of information out of images we see, and that's what develops culture. It's really interesting. So this has a lot to do with branding because we see ads all the time. We see branding all the time. We see Nike, Apple. I think those are like one of the greats. And so, yeah, we'll get a little bit into how even those type of big world brands develop and prime these perceptions in people. How people only want Apple and they'll never go back to any other, like Samsung or Android. So we'll talk about that. I do have a little bit of experience with celebrities, which is really cool. My favorite one was an ex NBA player. He was so nice. We had a really similar background. And what I realized with that experience is that people just want you to provide value. So it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter about my experience. It's like, can you provide something of value to me, right? So that's another key word today, value. How do you provide value? How do you put value on yourself? How others value you, right? And we do have 5 stars on Google, so that's awesome. So I do help entrepreneurs become an iconic brand. So branding, I was talking to Desiree that branding happens in large cities, New York, LA, Denver. It's really like a hotspot of you want to start a new business, you have this really dope idea, and you want to build a pipe. Branding is how you build a pipe. It's like, I want that. So for example, with Rhode, you guys know Rhode, Hailey Bieber. So she sold her company for $1 billion, and that doesn't just happen. So the brand has a lot to do with it. It's how people are attracted to what you provide, right? So branding, you can't just be a brand, you got to be an iconic brand. So there's definitely really practical ways to do that, and it's research based too. So here's little samples. I know it's hard to see. There's some light samples of what we do. You guys could see this screen as well. We do some design. A really cool story about this design is that I actually did it for a hotel, and they didn't end up buying the design. They ended up going with somebody who was cheaper, and that's exactly what they got. They got a cheaper product. So there's the door, right? It's like we don't fall in line with that. If you guys want something cheaper, you can go find it somewhere else. But when you want something real, something that just like tugs at your heart, that is exciting and it's attractive, then that's when we could start getting into, some products like this. And so I did this design, and it actually ended up being at an art exhibit. So yeah, they never bought the design, but it became art. And did it get purchased? Yes. So that's really cool. Here's some photography. Um, One of the ways that what MH does, like kind of like our little signature touch, is that we do a lot of black and white. Those are our brand colors. And our photography is very like personal. There's some intensity in the eyes. We focus in on the eyes. There's like a feeling there, it's very, I kind of want to say editorial, so something that you would find like in a magazine. So there's little touches that you can tell that it's from MH. We're really minimal as well. Here's a logo. So this startup started with me when I started my business 5 years ago, and they stayed with me the whole time. They got to open up 2 brick and mortars. He got to launch his own comic book, and he got 2 illustrators that were with DC Comics and Marvel Comics. So when people think big, that's what I'm looking for. I don't care what your background is. You don't have to be the smartest, the best looking. It's just about, are you hungry enough? Partner with people that will take you there. So when we put our synergy together, that's what happened. So that was really exciting. And there's Miss Michaela, beautiful, of course. And so you could kind of see that same style that we saw in the last photography photograph. We see that intensity in the eyes. I like to really come close to the subject because you feel something, right? So emotion has a lot to do with branding too. Did you know that the majority of purchases are emotional, not intellectual? So when you purchase something, it's because it tugged something in you. It connected you into something. So what we look for as people that purchase products and services, what we're actually looking for is not what they're providing. We're looking for something that clicked in our subconscious. It either says, this brand gets me, this brand represents me well, or there's a personal connection. Maybe it reminds you of your dad, of your child, of a dream that you never got to bring to pass. That's what people want. They want to dream again. They want to feel something again. So branding is that powerful. So branding is perceived value. What does your audience think about you? And there is a way you could influence that. Now, how do you apply that to life? We make an impression on people within 1/10 of a second. That's how fast you made an impression. What if the moment you made an impression on someone, they immediately think, who is that? Or with your company, what is that? I need to find out what that is. There's these small adjustments that you can do that can make people feel something, right? I just find it so fascinating because when you, for example, go to like Ulta or Sephora, there's some brands that look like, oh my gosh, I love the packaging. And you just want to buy it because of the packaging. I've done it before. They literally just hooked you in because it looks good. Even with food, like, would you touch something that looks like slop? You would not. So when something looks just gorgeous, like appetizing, and my mom says, when we go somewhere fancy, it looks like art. Man, she's like, I don't even want to touch it. It's gorgeous. It makes you feel something like, wow, you did this for me? Yeah. So, marketing versus branding. This is huge. Marketing is a big bad word for me personally, and I'll tell you why. So when somebody doesn't understand what branding is, I just tell them I do marketing. And why? Because their understanding is very limited. So marketing, you still need it in your business, but I am biased and I have to say that branding is more important. Why? Because marketing is for short-term solutions. Branding is for long-term solutions. Branding is really foundational because it really gives your brand an identity. So What does that all mean? Marketing, you're either promoting a product or service. Hey guys, we just came out with a new burger for October. Whereas branding is, this burger makes you feel like a celebrity. It's like you're transferring something. It's almost like a transferring of energy. It's like, wow, that's pretty deep. Whereas marketing is just kind of to the point. It's more short term, it's for campaigns, right? So it feeds sales, marketing feeds sales, whereas branding, it feeds reputation. Do you see kind of the levels? And then branding, it focuses on the essence of the brand. So if branding is perceived value, then is there a such thing as us influencing it? Yes, there's a way you could put these little subliminal cues to make people feel like, I need that. It's intense. I mean, you just like, and there's a way that people build it up over time. You know, when people do like pop-ups, when people do like, for example, like when a lot of makeup brands, like even like Selena Gomez did it, where she opened up like her makeup line, like they do a big party. Why? Because you want to hype people up. And guess what? At the party, there's branding everywhere. Your little mocktail is the same color as a brand. Your little macaroon is the same color as a brand. Like they're literally feeding it to you like we are your only choice, right? Like you want to be a part of this. There's even communities with brands. So what a lot of people don't know is that because we have a natural sense of wanting to belong to something, brands use that against you. They say, be a part of us, be a part of our community. So Selena Gomez, she calls them besties. It's like, I want to be besties with her. Me personally, I don't. But but like a lot of girls want to, right? I mean, that's a celebrity. So guess what? So they're in a private group together. So it's like, what can you offer that just like makes you feel something, right? We keep coming back to that. So in the minds of people, again, your purchases are emotional. So really start thinking about, even when people are around you, you as a person, what's your personal branding? When people are around you, what do they say when you leave the room? That's huge. So there is a such thing as you being able to influence what people think about you and what they think of your brand or company. So Madeline, how do we do this? Okay, well, let's get down to it. You need to know why people would even care, okay? That's the truth. We live in the world of instant gratification. We live in a world of I'm in my own bubble, especially the American culture. Everybody's in a one-way track. You see that in big cities. So why would people even care? That's the truth. You got to make people care. And who's your ideal client? Who are you even talking to? If you're branding for a company that's for Gen Z, they do a lot of pops of color. You're going to start seeing that. They do a lot of pops of color. The Gen Z generation is very playful, and they're also really smart. And they want to be a part of something big. Millennials do that too. They did a study on millennials, and the reason why they keep switching jobs, they say about every 18 months. Yep. And the reason why they want to buy products that are, let's say, sustainable is because millennials want to be a part of something bigger. So what does that tell us, the brand professionals? It says, thank you for that information. Now I'm going to use that against you, or for you, rather. You want to be a part of a community, be part of the besties community, right? So see how it starts, like everything is cyclical. Everything just kind of feeds into each other. So know the details. Know who you're talking to, right? Know why, how can I make people care? Because there's a bunch of other brand professionals out there. There's a bunch of other massage therapists out there. Models, there's a bunch of models out there. Why would somebody choose you? What can I get that only you provide? It's interesting, right? Reality check. This is a big one. Right now we're in Texas, in little El Paso. We're not LA, we're not New York, but there's still a lot of activity, okay? And we're growing. But what does that mean? A lot of us, for the small business community, we're not a multi-billion-dollar company yet. And I say yet, but what if you start treating your business like if it were? How would that change the way people see you and your company? It would change everything. So for those that have already started their company, you already started your brand, well, what can I do? I already started. You could start shifting things. You could start adjusting things, right? So even if you already started it, it's not too late to either rebrand or start adjusting things, right? So reality check, it's all to say that there's bigger and better out there. So literally partner with somebody that can take you there, right? And lastly, talk to a brand consultant. So that is important. Let me tell you why. Because did you know that the ultra rich and the brands, the biggest brands in the world, they hire professionals. They do nothing themselves. Why? Because they're not the experts in that area. Why would I go do my roof if I'm not an expert in roofing, right? And so the ultra rich, that's what I've heard literally from their mouth. I'll never forget. I went to this lady, her and her husband, they're already like in their 60s, 70s, and their company's worth $1 billion. And so I recognized her last name and I said, oh my. I was in her neighborhood. I was actually in her neighbor's house, and she said, why don't you come over to my house? And I'm like, whoa, did I just win the lottery? Like, absolutely, I'll be there. So I walked on down. And what she said, her house was very beautiful. It wasn't flashy. I appreciated it because people that are truly wealthy, they will never act rich. What does that mean? They're never flashy. They know who they are. They know what they have. So they live comfortably and they do you know what I mean? They do themselves. Like they don't need to prove anything. And she said that in order to achieve that beautiful look in her house, she hired an architect, she hired a lighting specialist, somebody literally just to take care of the lighting in the house. And she also got a specific paint just to go with the lighting. What does that tell you? That the ultra rich will never do anything themselves. They want you to get it done. So what can we take from that? Hire professionals. Don't go out there doing everything yourself because it might not even come out good. If you want if you want to make it in this life, you go to the professionals. If I want to, go have real estate investments, I want to go to somebody who's already done that, right? So I really like telling that story because it really opened my eyes. Is branding really that important? Yes, and I'm going to say this. It will shift not just your professional economy, but your personal economy. And more than anything, it's going to shift your mindset. I will never be the same because of branding. Everything I do, and it's true, people notice everything about you. They notice what you're wearing. They notice how you talk. They notice your posture. They notice everything, especially in certain settings, like professional settings, right? They notice everything in your business too, the experience. The moment you walk into a shop, how do they treat you? There's this acupuncture company that I really enjoyed. I think they understood perfectly what it meant to be consistent with the brand from the moment a client walks in. So you walk in and it kind of looks like a spa, and you check in and they know that you're checking in. They call you by name and then they escort you to your own little private area. And I had to get acupuncture to release a muscle. And in order to release a muscle in my hip, they actually had to release it in my knee. So they really were explaining to me like that process. And it's like, okay, like I'm getting my individual attention. They're telling me the process. I feel good about this. And this is the funniest thing ever. They said when you walk out, you're going to feel like you just had a glass of wine. You might feel a little woozy. And I laughed it off and I said, like, no such thing. Oh my gosh, I walked out of there like Like if I was walking on cloud nine, I couldn't believe it. Like when you say walking on a high, I was somewhere else. And before I walked out, they gave me a tea. They gave me a hot tea. So guess what? I'm walking to my car and I'm like, what just happened? Like I feel amazing. And I got a tea. So all that to say, how do you make people feel? That's another keyword that we keep hitting at today. I keep saying branding makes you feel something. How do you as a person make people feel? Isn't that interesting? So crazy. So we're wrapping up here, but this is good. Branding is leverage. What does leverage mean? Leverage in business could literally mean capital. What's capital? Money. So it eventually builds into equity. There's a such thing as brand equity, the value your brand holds, right? So you need to treat branding like money. What? That's wild. How do I do that? So here's a few ways that it could impact you. Branding, it could position you strategically in the market. Why do people choose you over someone else? It attracts your ideal client. Would you rather have a cheap client or a high paying client, right? So then start talking to those type of people, right? It builds equity. We talked about that value, right? It can speak before you do. This one's huge. And this is what I tell the people that are in the membership. I said, I've never had somebody tell me to prove my experience or to prove my education. It's like you walk in and you say how you provide value and that's it. So the ultra rich, they want it like this. Just tell me what you're going to do for me. I need a solution, right? That's why we're having a conversation in the first place. So there's a such thing as your brand. Literally, you're the brand too, right? You're representing it, especially as the owner. Is there a way that it could speak before you do? Oh yeah, you can make an impression, right? We talked about that. So branding, it's beyond a company, it's beyond a brand, it's even beyond you. Some people, they start a movement with it, right? They even say, generations from now, my grandchildren are gonna inherit what we represent, this brand. Like Italians are big on that. They really understand like the core value of like family and how generations, follow like certain trades. So in Venice, the people that do like the boats, I forget the name of it, the gondola, um, those that trade is passed down through generations. That means that their father used to do it and their grandfather used to do it. So there's a way of going past branding. It's legacy. You could build something big. Okay, we're gonna get to something super fun. Pull out your phones. We're gonna do an exercise. You guys watching the video, you can do this as well. It's gonna be really fun. So you're gonna write down your top 3 favorite brands and why they are your favorite. Okay, I'll give you like 2 minutes. And you wanna think of what's the first thing that comes up to your mind, okay? So don't think about it too much. Just what are your top 3 favorite brands and why? Are you doing it too, hun? Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it too. Let me know when you guys are done. Okay. You guys need one more minute?
I'm good.
All right. I got stuck on the last one too.
It's just the name of the brand, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And after we discuss this, we're going to watch a video on exactly everything we talked about. It's going to be really interesting. Yeah. Let me actually move this a little closer so you guys could see it better. Okay, is everybody ready? Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll start and then we could come this way. So I put down Apple because I think it's the epitome of branding. I think when I first think of like what's a really good brand, I think of them. I think they're sleek, they're high value, and they're really intentional. So Steve Jobs had a lot to do with that. He was very like meticulous and very like everything has to be kind of a perfectionist, to be honest. So now that I'm thinking about it, probably a lot of people that are perfectionists go to, with Apple. I put Zara because they're fashion forward and they're global. And I put Mercedes because they're generational. So, what do you guys got?
Oh, I put Apple also.
Yay!
They're really big.
Yeah.
They are actually, I think, because I recently traded to an iPhone in 2021.
Mhm.
And before that, I was like, oh, I love my Android. I'll never change.
Oh, really?
But my mom got me an iPhone. And then I was like, no, like Apple really is better.
Wow.
And then they show it, you know, with
Yeah.
everything. AirPods.
Yeah.
And I put Walmart. Not that it's like my favorite.
Yeah.
But when I think about like brands that are
Exactly.
amazing, I think about Walmart because they're huge, you know, and they're everywhere. And it's just really the best grocery store. It's like, how? That's amazing. Yeah. But I only put two.
Okay, that's okay. And you know what's interesting? That they changed their logo to appeal to women more. So now it looks like a little flower. Just yeah. Interesting. So I'm like, they hooked you. They got you. Okay. What you got?
Okay, so I have Merit. It's a makeup brand, but they're clean beauty. But they don't look, I would say, like rustic. You know how some clean brands
Yeah.
try to look more like natural, like
For
more
sure.
nature.
Yeah.
I like how they brought in luxury into the clean beauty space,
Mhm.
but it's not flashy. It's very clean and elegant. I like
Yeah.
that. Then I put Abercrombie. I put a lot. I have a lot of their clothing because not only is it like minimalistic, but it's good quality. So like there's so many shirts or skirts or pants that I have from them that I've had for years that haven't faded or anything like that, but they're like really simple go-to pieces that you could either dress them up or dress them down, and they're still good quality, so they last long. And I feel like Gap and like Banana Republic, brands like that, they do that well too. It's very simple, but
Yeah.
still looks really nice. And then I put Whole Foods.
Oh yes,
I
girl.
normally go to Sprouts because it's closer.
Yeah.
But I always try to position myself to go to Whole Foods. I just rather would go to Whole Foods just for the whole experience.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So I just put them because I think about how I wanted there to be another Whole Foods in El Paso. We just have one now. But I'm like, why is it that I don't want another Sprouts?
Did you take them something?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to apologize for the remote.
Oh yes.
When I got here this morning, every single component that
Yeah.
you have there was in a different location. And I
Oh.
had to scramble all over the building.
You're a
to find
trooper.
everything. So I was just like, I can't do it anymore.
Oh no. Yeah, no, we are good to go. We are good. Thank you so
Is this
much.
the whole group for?
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
But I just think about how we have multiple Sprouts. Why don't I want another Sprouts? Even though they're closer to me, I still would prefer to go to Whole Foods. So
I got you.
I feel like that says something about Whole Foods.
Yes, the experience, right? Yeah, definitely. What you got?
So first one, even though I don't eat there, is McDonald's.
I know where you're going. Yeah.
Because there's a McDonald's on every corner, and when you think of fast food, that's probably the first option you think of.
Yeah.
And I know one of our favorite movies is The Founder, but they still keep those values today as far as the system they have.
That's true.
And it's efficient. Like you're in and out.
That's true.
You have variety, and yeah. So McDonald's. second one is Sony from a camera perspective and even from an entertainment perspective because they own a lot of movies and productions. But just the versatility and how it accommodates like different, demographics when it comes to technology, I guess. And then last one, even though I don't wear it yet, is Lululemon. Just because they know the audience that they appeal
That's
to
true.
and the quality of their stuff is great.
So like you physically have touched it, right? And so in your profession, you understand how important it is to wear the appropriate clothing.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, cool. So we all had a specific reason why we thought of those brands. And it either connected to something personal or something that we like or a certain desire, or it connected to convenience, to relevance, right? So that means that we placed a value on it without even thinking about it. So one thing that I think is a really practical way of how you could catch branding is when you have to go to the grocery store like fast. And I've seen it with toothpaste. People automatically reach for the Colgate. It's like, why? Just because they've been around the longest. And I feel like that's generational too. So maybe if you see something like newer, you might not trust it just because it's newer. So it's a lot of like psychological things. Maybe something that your family has always worn or have always, maybe everybody in the family has a Mercedes, so now you have a Mercedes, that kind of thing. I know your family is really big on Mercedes, but it's true. Once like you stay with a brand, like it's really hard to break away from that because it's like ingrained in us, So this video I absolutely love. We're gonna watch it. Hopefully we got the audio up. But it's going to talk about...
Coke is just soda, Tylenol just acetaminophen, and Levi's are just jeans. Yet consumers go out of their way to select these specific brands over others.
An economist would say, how is this possible that a rational consumer would be willing to pay more for exactly the same thing? We love to think about ourselves as rational. That's not how it works. A very famous study done by colleagues at Duke University had flashed either the Apple logo or the IBM logo to two randomized groups of participants.
The study found that after being subliminally exposed to the Apple logo, compared to when you've been exposed to the IBM logo, participants performed better on creative tasks.
And the argument is that Apple has been telling you this story over and over again, that Apple is the brand for hip, cool, fun, creative people.
This is the true power of brands. They can influence our behavior in ways that extend way beyond the point of sale. So, to what degree can the influence of brands wreak havoc on our ability to make rational spending decisions? This is Your Brain on Money. This is Americus Reed. He studies identity and marketing at the University of Pennsylvania.
When I make choices about different brands, I'm choosing to create an identity. When I put that shirt on, when I put those shoes on, those jeans, that hat, someone is going to form an impression about what I'm about. So if I'm choosing Nike over Under Armour, I'm choosing a kind of different way to express affiliation with sport. The Nike thing is about performance. The Under Armour thing is about the underdog. I have to choose which of these different conceptual pathways is most consistent with where I am in my life.
And once a consumer makes that choice, their relationship with a brand can deepen to the point where they identify with the brand like family. And once you identify with a brand, it can shape the way you behave.
And it's really interesting because they will also, if someone talks bad about that product, brand, or service, they will be the first to go out and defend. Why? Because an attack on the brand is an attack on themselves.
Michael Platt is a professor of neuroscience, marketing, and psychology whose research demonstrates how our perception of brands influences our decisions.
There's an idea in marketing, which is that we relate to brands in the same way we relate to people. Like, I love this brand, or I hate hate this brand. Of course, what people say, right, can often be different from what's really going on in their heads. So we thought, well, why don't we just ask the brain directly?
Michael and his team observed the brains of iPhone users and Samsung Galaxy users with an MRI machine, while they heard good, bad, and neutral news about Apple and Samsung.
Apple customers showed a brain empathy response toward Apple that was exactly what you'd see in the way you would respond to somebody in your own family.
Strangely, Samsung users didn't have any positive or negative responses when good or bad news was released about their brand. The only evidence that Samsung users showed was reverse empathy for Apple news, meaning if the Apple headline was negative, their brain reflected a positive response.
You know, it really shows us that Apple has completely defined the market here. Samsung customers, it seems from their brain data, are only buying Samsung because they hate Apple.
The kicker? The Samsung users didn't report feeling the results their MRIs showed. What was happening in their brains and what they reported feeling towards Apple and Samsung were totally different.
Most people just don't realize that they are subconsciously choosing brands because those brands have some kind of self-expressive value.
You can see there's a lot of power here in terms of shaping consumers' decisions. As we learn more and more about that, we have to think much more deeply about the ethical, legal, and societal implications of doing that.
So as consumers, what can we do to make informed choices? Well, the best thing we can do is be aware of the influence that brands hold.
I think it's important to always pause and think a little bit about, okay, why am I buying this product?
And like it or not, brands aren't going anywhere.
I've heard lots of people push back and say that I'm not into brands. I take a very different view. They're not doing anything any different than what someone who affiliates with a brand is doing. They have a brand. It's just an anti-brand brand. When I think about what is it that I've learned about identity over time, I think a lot of it has to do with the fundamental need that we as humans have to have support systems. Perhaps it was the church, it was the community, it was these other institutions that existed. Now brands have stepped in as pillars of our identity. So I'm very much motivated to see that in that positive light.
Was that wild?
That was very informative,
What did you guys think?
powerful.
It's powerful, right? Like it's bigger than we anticipate, and it literally informs like our decisions, you know? It's crazy. So very psychological. And one thing that I was looking at yesterday was how people define branding as a study. Like, how do you even begin to study branding? And it's like so loaded. You have to study design, you have to study psychology, you have to study marketing, you have to study entrepreneurship, business. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's all of these different things that are married together and that builds the background to branding, right? So really crazy. All right, we're coming up to the end. So what if the way people saw your business was the biggest factor in how much profit you make? Like, is there a direct correlation to those two things? So what people think versus how much money you make. Are they related? Absolutely. Like we literally just saw that, you know? And people begin to be so loyal to a brand or company. Like you just don't want to go with anybody else once you fall in love with it, you know? Yeah. So I always think of, again, Apple, those lines that people get in when a new product is out. Do you remember when people used to camp out literally just for the new iPhone or whatever? Or wait in line for 3 hours? They're just loyal to the bone, right? Okay. How do we apply branding? Specifically perception. You need to be consistent. Because in a person's mind, what they perceive is that when you're consistent, you're established, you're somebody I can trust. Now, here's what's interesting. Since it's very psychological, you have to fix their pain before you become their choice, right? Their one choice in a specific, industry or, product type or whatever. You need to fix their pain. What does that mean? You become that one solution in their mind. So here's something that I was thinking about. What if I gave you guys like a free ticket to like Hawaii, let's say, but your tummy's like aching, like in so much pain? Like, what would you be thinking about first? Like, let me fix this pain before I get on a flight, right? Like, earth-shattering pain. So that's what we have in mind first, especially business owners. If you're dealing with a problem in your business, you're going to want to fix that before you start thinking about anything else. So that's something to think about. Fix people's pain first. Lastly, show them what they want. Did you guys know that some people literally don't know what they want in life, right? We see it all the time. They have no direction. And like he said in the video, some people don't care about brands. But then there comes one day when they see something that just clicks. For men, it could be sports cars. They fall in love with a sports car, and what are they going to do? They're fulfilling a childhood dream. That's what's happening. It's deep within us, right? So you got to show them what they want. Show people what is possible. This is really interesting too. So we just talked about consistency, right? It says in April 2025, a Meta report found that 68% of organizations say brand consistency has contributed a 10+% to their revenue growth. Just by you being consistent, it's already boosted 10% of your revenue. Let's go further into that. It says a 33% reported that it boosted, it says revenue growth versus boosted revenue over time. So that just deals with different timelines. But all that to say is that when you perceive a brand to be consistent, it's gonna literally equal profit. Okay, what did we learn today? We learned what branding is. Perceived value. What people think of your brand. The value that they attach to it. Perception equals profit. Is there such thing as influencing the way they perceive you in order for them to become a client, in order for them to make a purchase, to even stay loyal to your brand? There's a direct correlation, right? And lastly, don't forget to talk to your brand consultant. So if you haven't, for those of you that are watching, definitely take advantage of a free consultation. I have a lot of fun with it. You get to leave with free advice. Win-win, right? So